Have you ever looked at the stars and felt like your dreams were a million miles away? We often hear people say, follow your heart or chase your dreams, but what they don't always tell you is the price you have to pay to get there. Deep in a quiet valley, surrounded by mist and high mountains, lived a young man named Liam. At 20 years old, Liam was a dreamer. He didn't want a simple life. He dreamed of building a famous food empire, a chain of stores that would provide quality food to everyone. But reality was a cold shadow. Liam's family was very poor. His father, Arthur, spent his days in the dark, dangerous tunnels of a coal mine. His mother, Elena, worked until her hands were raw, washing clothes for wealthy families. And then there was Mia, his little sister. She looked at Liam as if he were a hero, a bright light in their gray world. One night, Liam stood outside their small wooden house. The air was cold. He looked up at the stars and whispered to himself, "How can I reach the stars when I'm worried about tomorrow's meal?" Suddenly, a hand touched his shoulder. It was his father. Arthur's face was tired, covered in the dust of the mines, but his eyes were wise. He said, "Liam, remember this. Dreams are never free. If you want something, you must fight for it. Start with the smallest thing you have right now." That night, Liam didn't sleep. He realized that in their town, people loved fresh bread. However, the nearest bakery was miles away. He had no money, no oven, and no experience. But he had a plan. The next morning, Liam walked for hours until he reached a large, busy bakery owned by a man named Mr. Victor. Mr. Victor was famous for two things, his delicious bread and his extremely difficult personality. He was a stern man. This means he was very serious and did not smile often. Liam stood before him, his heart beating fast. "Mr. Victor," Liam said firmly, "I want to sell your bread in my town. I have no money to pay you now, but give me 1 week. Trust me, for 7 days. I will sell everything, return your money, and keep only a tiny profit for myself." Mr. Victor looked at Liam's dusty shoes and then at his determined eyes. He agreed to a 1 week trial. For the next 2 months, Liam's life became a cycle of hard work. Every morning at 4 a.m., while the world was still dark and silent, Liam woke up. He walked many kilometers to the bakery, filled heavy bags with warm-smelling bread, and carried them back to his town. He didn't just sell bread, he sold kindness. He always had a bright smile and a warm word for every customer. Slowly, people began to trust him. They didn't just buy bread, they bought Liam's bread. Eventually, he saved enough money to buy a small wooden cart. One day, an old customer said to Liam, "Liam, you are a hard worker, but why don't you bake the bread yourself? You would earn much more profit." Liam knew the customer was right, but he also knew his father's words. Nothing is free. Success requires knowledge, the information and skills you get from learning. He went back to Mr. Victor. "Teach me how to bake," Liam begged. At first, Mr. Victor refused. He was afraid Liam would become a competitor, someone who tries to win the same customers. But Liam didn't give up. He offered to clean the bakery for free every night if Mr. Victor would teach him. Seeing Liam's sincerity, his honest and genuine feeling, the old baker finally said yes. The first weeks of learning were a nightmare. Liam's hands were covered in blisters, small, painful bubbles on the skin caused by heat or rubbing. His bread was often burnt or too hard to eat. Sometimes he wanted to sit on the floor and cry, but he remembered the mine where his father worked. He remembered his sister's hopeful eyes. "The dream isn't free," he reminded himself. He kept practicing until his bread was perfect, soft on the inside and crunchy on the outside. Liam opened his own small shop, Liam's Kitchen. It was a success until Julian arrived. Julian was a wealthy young man who opened a luxury bakery right across the street. Julian's shop had glass windows, expensive lights, and beautiful chairs. Many of Liam's customers started going there because it looked more modern. Instead of getting angry or complaining about unfairness, Liam looked at his own shop. He realized he needed to change. He decorated his cart with flowers. He went to the library and studied books on how to make cakes and decorations. He stayed up late experimenting with new flavors. His effort paid off. People realized that while Julian's shop was pretty, Liam's bread had a soul. The quality and the taste brought everyone back. But life had one more test for Liam. One stormy night, lightning struck a power line near his shop. A fire started. By the time the rain stopped, Liam's kitchen was nothing but black ashes. Liam stood in the mud, looking at the ruins of his hard work. He felt broken, but as the sun began to rise, he saw something amazing. The villagers, the people he had served for years, came out of their houses. They brought wood, tools, and their own hands. "You fed us when we were hungry, Liam. Now let us help you." The new bakery was even more beautiful than the first. It wasn't just a shop, it was a symbol of hope for the entire valley. On the day of the grand reopening, Liam stood before a large crowd. "I used to think that dreams were about the destination," Liam said to the crowd, "but I was wrong. I have learned that nothing in this life is free. Success, respect, and love must be paid with sweat, patience, and a heart that refuses to break." Liam's story teaches us three very important lessons. Personal effort is the magnet. When you give 100% of your energy, the world finds a way to help you. Failure is just tuition. Think of your mistakes as school fees. You pay with your struggle, but you gain the education you need to go higher. The darkest hour, the moment you feel like giving up, is usually the moment right before the sun rises. Whatever your dream is, whether it is learning a new language, starting a business, or helping your family, remember Liam. Don't be afraid of the price. The hard work, the long nights, and the challenges are what make the victory taste so sweet. Your dream is waiting. It isn't free, but it is definitely worth it.